Welcome. In this class today, we will be exploring breath practices. In yoga, we call these pranayama practices, which include a much broader idea, more than just the breath. We are beginning to work with the life force that rides upon the breath. These are very powerful practices and wonderful in this time where we really need to ensure that our respiratory health is as strong and as vital as possible. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am coming to you from this wonderful land that I am blessed to live, work, and play on as the unceded territories of the Blackfoot people. I'm located here in southern Alberta in Strathmore, and I'm pleased to offer you this practice. I am blessed to be able to carry this knowledge forward because of the work that the teachers that have blessed me with this knowledge have done for so many years. So honoring my teacher months, my teachers, Dr. Ananda Balayogi Bhavanani, and others that I'm just so very grateful to have shared these practices with me, and now I can share them with you. So the first thing we want to do is to ensure that we're seated comfortably in a seat that's appropriate for our breath practices. So I am using a nice sturdy wooden chair, and one of the things that I struggle with is I'm short, so I don't know if you can see my feet here, but they float. And so I'm using a pair of yoga blocks to sort of bring the floor up for me, and that could be duplicated at home for yourself using blocks or books, magazines, a folded blanket, anything that would allow you for your feet to land strongly into the ground so you can feel the four corners of your feet grounding. And we do want to be settled into our seat, but I'll ask you to observe the subtle and important differences of our posture. Most of the time when we're seated in a chair, we're sort of sinking into the chair. The pelvis sort of rolls under, the tailbone sort of tucks under, the low back gently rounds, and sort of soften into our seat. This would be the most common seated posture that we would take. When we move into breath practices, we want to move into something more upright. So come along with me here and sort of rock the pelvis under and forward, and just become aware of what sort of movement you have available for the pelvis to do this pelvic rock. And you can think of it like a bowl. So when we tuck the tail under and drop the round of the pelvis back, it's like the bowl is dumping backwards. And then when we go through, we go a little farther forward, it's like the bowl would be pouring its contents forward. So where we want to come is where the pelvis is most upright, the bowl is most upright. And then you'll notice that you'll be sitting taller, not sinking into your chair. We want to ensure that we are able to nestle back into our chair. So you can use throw pillows as a support for behind your back. I'm going to use a rolled blanket. This is a big chair, so there's a fair bit of space between my back and the chair. And then I'm going to just tuck this, I'll invite you to try the same, into the lower part of my back. So you can't really see it, but here it is near my lumbar spine. So it's not down way low, it's not up too high, it's sort of tucked into the lumbar section of my spine. So it'll help to hold me in this upright position. We want to roll our shoulders up, back, and down, and then gently lengthen the spine once we are in this position. Now with your hands resting palms down on your knees, begin to become aware of the flow of your breath. Noticing the tension that you may be carrying in your shoulders, your face, beginning to release the tension that is not needed. We need some tension along the spine to hold us upright, but we don't need tension in our face or the tops of our shoulders or around our eyes. for a few moments, simply watch the flow of your breath come in and out. The Dirgha, the complete yogic breath, is one of the most important breath practices that we can learn in any health situation. This is appropriate and essential for vital well-being. So our posture is where we begin. You can even experiment a little bit by slouching. You might need to remove that something from behind your back and sort of slouch and take a full breath in. Sort of feel how much volume is there for you as you do that. And then when you correct your posture so that the pelvis is neutral, the spine is tall, the shoulders are dropping down, and your head is drawing back into alignment with the rest of your spine, and the spine is gently lengthening. Now take a full breath and be aware of the volume that is there for you to access. It can be significantly more. Now, each section of the lungs, lower, middle, and upper lungs, are essentially feeding oxygen and blood flow into every part of your body. The lower part of the lungs feeds blood flow through the systems down into the lower pelvis, the organs in the low pelvis, down into the hips, the legs, the feet. And the middle part of your lungs, that is feeding blood flow and oxygen out into the lungs, the heart, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the fingers. And the upper part of the lung is bringing all this nourishment into the neck, the head, the face, and also into the mind, this energy field that is the mind as well. So we have this sense of firmness below our navel when we're seated upright in our tall, proper posture. That firmness below the navel will mean that we're not belly breathing when we're breathing down into the lower lungs in a seated position, but rather the breath will be coming into the lower part of the ribs. So I invite you to bring your hands to rest here on these lower ribs. So sort of here's the soft space in between my floating ribs. Have your thumbs resting alongside the other fingers so that they're not coming up higher. They're staying down low with the rest of the fingers. And begin to focus your mind into the lower lungs. And begin to perceive the movement of your breath. Your hands filling with your breath. Attempt to focus the movement of the breath into the lower lungs so that the middle and the upper sections of the lungs are quiet as you can manage. Focus mind and effort into breathing into the lower lungs. It's at this place, the attachment point here at the front where your fingers are, is the front of the diaphragm. And it's the main respiratory muscle. The main muscle that moves first to allow the breath to begin. It attaches and spans across the body, separating the abdominal cavity from the lungs and the heart. And every time you're breathing in, the diaphragm is moving downwards, drawing breath in to the lungs. And as you exhale, the diaphragm is relaxing and the breath is rushing outwards. There is a front, a side, and a back section to the three dimensions of your lower lungs. Be aware of this section of these sections as you are breathing in this way. Let's move our hands up higher and begin to breathe into the middle lungs. So you're going to bring your hands up so they're level with the breastbone. And you want to have your thumbs resting alongside your closed fingers, your hands resting across where your breasts are. And breathing into this middle space. So now we are quieting the breath from coming down low, and we're not focusing or allowing it to come up high. We're trying to focus it to come into the middle section of our lungs. Make sure you've not lost your posture. If you get tired, you'll start to slump. And so take a break. You can move and stretch in small ways until you feel ready to come back to the posture that allows for this breath. Focus the mind into the middle section of your lungs, breathing in smoothly and steadily. Sensing the breath moving the rib cage. Here, the intercostals expand, pulling the ribs away from one another. The breath comes in. Those muscles relax. The breath goes out. Be aware of the front, the sides, and the back of your middle lungs, filling the 3 dimensions. You may notice that different sections have different responses within you. You may have physical, mental, or emotional responses to these practices. Be curious, the witness of these responses. They may teach you about where you breathe and where you do not breathe. Bring your hands now to rest on the collarbones. So if you need to, you sort of stretch and move, adjust your posture so that you're in this tall seat. The jawline is drawn in and the hands are resting. So ideally the palms are connecting to your chest and the fingertips are resting on the collarbones. You're going to begin to perceive now and focus the breath into the upper limbs. Here, the big muscles of the neck actually gently lift the collarbones, allowing for the breath to come into the upper lungs. Try to perceive that very subtle movement of that under your hands. Feel the breath filling your hands. Remembering to breathe into the 3 dimensions of the upper lungs and to be curious about what the experience is like. We're releasing the hands down. And we move from working with these sections to using these sections to move the breath in a very specific pattern. So what I'll invite you to do is to actually follow the pattern with your hands. So you'll place your left hand at the heart center here in the middle lungs. And you want to make sure you have that firmness below your navel. You're sitting tall. The pelvis is in a neutral position, head is drawn gently in, shoulders are dropping down, and you're releasing any unnecessary tension from your body. The pattern of the breath is always this way. When we breathe in, the diaphragm starts the breath coming into the lower lungs. Intercostals then expand the middle lungs. And then the third component of the inhale is up here into the upper lungs as the collarbones lift. Then when we exhale, it's the diaphragms beginning with the exhalation. The diaphragm is relaxing back. Then the intercostals are relaxing and the collarbones are relaxing back down. So the pattern is always lower, middle, upper as we inhale. And as we exhale, it's lower, middle, upper. Try to use each section of your lungs equally. So 1/3 of the breath first comes into the lower, the next third into the middle, the next third into the upper. And then you exhale the same way, lower, middle, upper. So now we'll begin to use a count. So it's nice to use a count like 3 or 6. So you could breathe in to your lower lungs, 1, 2, middle lungs, 3, 4, upper lungs, 5, 6, and then exhaling from the lower lungs, 1, 2, middle lungs, 3, 4, upper lungs, 5, 6. So you can find a count that works for you, and we'll practice quietly together, breathing in this pattern, using our hand to follow the breath. You could let your eyes close, or you could just pick a spot somewhere on the floor in front of you so your eyes become still and you can focus inwardly. Let's practice together for a few minutes. At the end of an exhale, let both hands come down to rest, palms down on your knees. And notice as you let go of the practice, the effort, what does your breath do here in this moment? Give yourself permission to release some of the tensions from your back, rounding forward gently, arching gently. Anything that you would like to do to release the tensions from your body. Now, this 3-part breath can be used all the time in any situation. Can be done laying down. And when you're laying down, you do not need the tension that allows you to be upright. So it will actually feel more like belly breath as you breathe down into the lower lungs. I use this a lot when I am struggling before bed to get my mind and my body to settle. And balancing the breath so that it is equal inhalation and exhalation is an excellent practice for creating equanimity of the nervous system. So very good to practice when moving through your daily life. If you'd like to create a breath practice that encourages deep relaxation, you would change the breath count slightly. You can continue to work with this awareness of the full breath, and you would breathe in for a count, and then exhale for double the count, or up to double. You might not be able to reach all the way to double. So we've done for a time the breath where we've balanced in and out breath. Let's do a few of the repetitions that is the breath count for relaxation. All breath should be happening in and out through our nose in these practices, unless otherwise specifically directed. All yoga breath is in and out through the nose. So let's do a count of inhaling for 6 and exhaling for 12. This might not work for you, so you can adjust it to however you need, but we might be able to practice together. So let's do 6 rounds of this breath. So beginning together by breathing out and inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Releasing the breath. As we exhale, there is a slowing of the heart rate, a slowing of the functions of the body. So by extending the exhale, we aid in the slowing of our systems. The third breath count to share today is the practice of Ceviche Pranayama. So this is a balancing breath, wonderful to use as you move through your day. You can actually use it as you're walking, as you are doing any sort of task. It's wonderful to give your mind a tool to move the breath. And it's so powerful for creating emotional regulation and physical vitality. And it goes like this. The breath count would be inhaling for 6, holding for 3, exhaling for 6, holding for 3. Okay, so and the ratio of the breath can change. If a 6 count doesn't work for you, it could be a 4 count. So you would inhale for 4 and hold for 2, exhale for 4 and hold for 2. And you can also extend this as your breath capacity increases, so that you're inhaling for 8 and holding for 4, exhaling for 8 and holding for 4. So today, let's do 6 rounds using the 6 count. Okay, So with your hands resting down upon your knees, checking in with your posture that you are still in this tall, upright seat, a sense of firmness below the navel, jawline is drawn gently in so the head is over top the shoulders. Breathing out to begin, and then inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold, 2, 3, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, allowing your breath to come back into its natural rhythm. Do a gentle body scan, observing how these breath practices have left you feeling. And sometimes, as we're learning new practices, the efforts can cause tensions in our body. These are very safe, effective practices, and I encourage you to release the tensions from your body as you need. All of these can be practiced from laying down. Many of them practiced while walking or doing your daily living. I pray that they serve you, and I pray that your breath health remain vital all your days. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.